Want to take a quick minute to talk about mental health. As you all know, we are living in unprecedented times, whether it's the racial pandemic or the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, I want to introduce you to Hope Again Counseling Services, where transformation begins. Hope Again provides help for children, adolescents, adults, family, and couples. So give them a call at 410-698-8442 or visit them on the web at yourhopeagain.com to book your appointment. If you are willing to believe, you will begin to achieve, and ultimately, Hope Again Counseling Services can help you receive all that is meant for you. All right, I swear to you, I kid you not, I am not bitter about my former employer. But when they do things, they need to be called out on it. It's just that simple. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. I am your host, Brian H. Waters. This show is brought to you by B. Waters Productions. Now, I was sitting here today, as I sit here record about 10 minutes away from one of my favorite events in sports, right? One of my favorite events in sports, and that is the Home Run Derby. And if you haven't been a baseball fan, maybe you stepped out, maybe you outgrew it, maybe you stopped watching when the steroid era, when it wasn't cool, when the Griffeys, the Bonds, the McGuires, the Thomases, the Sheffields, the Sosas, when all those guys left, right? I'm not saying all of them was on steroids, but they played in the era that is associated with steroids. So if you start watching it, you may not be aware that there is a man by the name of Shohei Ohtani. Now, let me tell you how special this guy is. Shohei, not only is he a power hitter, but he is also a dominant pitcher. Now, I used to wonder when I was younger, how come pitchers don't bat? And I'm talking when I was playing baseball in my school league. Shout out to Shrine Little Flower. But I used to wonder, I said, why is it that pitchers don't bat? And then when I was playing with them on the video games, shout out to World Series 95 on the Game Gear, I noticed that the pitchers' hitting stats were always significantly low. And it just didn't make sense to me, right? I'm like, why is it that pitchers can't bat? And as I got older, I understood, they don't practice. It's not the strong point. And batting is hard. It's the hardest thing to do. I will argue with anybody that it's harder to hit a fastball than it is to hit an NBA three-point shot than it is to kick an NFL field goal. Well, I'll say, 20 yards? An extra point, would be respectable. An extra point that is harder to catch an NFL football from a quarterback, depending on how fast they throw, right? But you go to the batting cages and you try to hit the ball, right? They just challenge you. Go put it on 80 miles an hour. That ball comes so fast. And 80 miles an hour is considered slow. Slow to those in the major leagues. So they're hitting 90 and 100. And I'm watching. And over the years, I remember when he came to the Angels, it was a big deal. The Angels signed Shohei Ohtani. He's a two-way player, and he can pitch and bat. And they was trying to figure out how they was going to use him, right? Like, he would pitch on some days, and he would pitch. He was a starting pitcher at that. So you're pitching now average 5-6 innings. It used to be back in the day 7 to 8. But he's going to pitch, and then he's going to have a day off, and then he's going to bat a couple of days. Well, this guy is starting in the All-Star game as a pitcher. He's also in the Home Run Derby, which is getting ready to take place. But I had to record this. There's no doubt about it. When you look at on paper, this is your megastar. I've always talked about baseball doesn't market their stars. I've said that for years. Baseball don't market their stars. Well, right now, this is a star that you market. They have Mike Trout. Mike Trout's a good hitter, or a great hitter. He's a great fielder. You know, as they say, 5'2" player. Maybe say the best baseball player. But he's boring. He doesn't have much personality. This year, his teammate, Shohei Ohtani, has been doing his thing. So what brings me here today? A guy by the name of Stephen A. Smith had a nerve to say this. I'm going to roll that clip so you can hear it for yourselves.
But when you talk about an audience gravitating to the tube or to the ballpark to actually watch you, okay, I don't think it helps that the number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying in this country. And that's what I'm trying to say. You know.
So the issue I have here is he is contributing to everything that this country has, kind of stood for. And I'm talking about the division, we're supposed to be the United States of America, and it's supposed to be this place that's supposed to really preach on diversity, right? Because after all, to my knowledge, the Europeans didn't all come from the same country, right? When they settled over here. So because they all didn't come from the same country, they were diverse. But, we all know what they did with blacks and then how they excluded the Asians the same way. But if this is supposed to be a place that we're trying to move forward and we're trying to change, why would a statement like that be even made? The fact that this guy needs an interpreter, and that's going to prevent him from being the face of baseball, which should have been said, or which should be thought about, or as we move forward, people should really think, okay, even if he needs an interpreter, this is an opportunity to expand the game, because after all, baseball, they call it the World Series. Now, granted, it's still within the major leagues, but we all know that with American sports and entertainment, the goal isn't just within the United States of America. It's always to go worldwide. It's always to be global. So why in the world is this okay? And I think what I see is that level of thinking is one of those things that continue to set the human race of the United States back. That mentality, that whole mentality of, well, he needs to do this and he needs to do that, and he going to need an interpreter if he can feel this. So, I thought Stephen A. Smith's comments was very disrespectful. Now, because I brought up the negative, you know what comes afterwards. We've seen this as we talked about Rachel Nichols on last week's episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. There's always the apology. So here we go, folks. Let me apologize right now as I'm watching things unfold. Let me say that I never intended to offend any community, particularly the Asian community, and especially Shohei Ohtani himself. As an African American, keenly aware of the damage stereotypes has done to many in this country, it should have elevated my sensitivities even more. Based on my words, I failed in that regard, and it's on me and me alone. Ohtani is one of the brightest stars in all of sports. He is making a difference as it pertains to inclusiveness and leadership. I should have embraced that in my comments. Instead, I screwed up. In this day and age, with all the violence being perpetrated against the Asian community, my comments, albeit unintentional, were clearly insensitive and regrettable. There's simply no other way to put it. I'm sincerely sorry for any angst I've caused in my comments on First Take this morning. Again, I'm sorry, and I'll happily reiterate these words more extensively tomorrow morning as well. Here we go again. It should have elevated his senses more. But you're saying the fact that he needs an interpreter will prevent him from being the face of baseball. So, to me, what I see is, okay, because he isn't from here, let's not push him. You know, it's like you coming into a company and you're the best player, or you're the best person. Oh, but you know what? Because you didn't come up with us, or because you're black, you know you're the best player, we're not going to push you. How would Stephen A. Smith have felt if ESPN said that? Because clearly he's the face of the company. And, you know, all this stuff about, oh, I slipped up, or I shouldn't have said that, or that's not what I meant. No, you meant what you said. You said what you meant. Because you wasn't talking that fast. You had enough time to sit there and think about what you were saying. You know, like, when I sit here at my computer and I talk into this microphone, even if I slip up and say, okay, maybe not that way, or, all right, let me emphasize, or let me reiterate, there's enough time, especially on his show. So it's one of those things. I'm not sorry. He's just sorry that everybody felt that way, so he felt the need to apologize to turn down the heat. If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. I got a quick break from one of the great people who sponsor the show. When I come back, I'm going to talk about something else, how he disrespected another group of people. Are you planning a huge celebration and perhaps you need some balloons to make your event look nice? Well, I have the perfect place for you, and that's Symphony of Balloons. Symphony of Balloons will do all events, including baby showers, weddings, birthday parties, or that special anniversary. Contact them today at 410-802-1531 or email them at symphonyofballoons@gmail.com and tell them Brian H. Waters sent you. So, I was sitting on Twitter, and as I'm scrolling through, you know, I've always put out my tweet at Brian H. Waters, how I felt. I continue to look. And what do Stephen A. Smith do? Let's roll the clip.
There's no excuse to lose to Nigeria. Some dude, Gabe Namdi, who goes by Gabe Vincent for the Miami Heat, Caleb Agada, Namu, or however the hell you pronounce his name. You give up 60 points on threes.
Yeah, folks, he said it about people, about players of Nigerian descent. He said it. He just said whatever the hell his name is. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? You know, I don't understand. You know, how in the world could you even have the audacity to say that? To say however the hell you say his name. Now, anybody knows that I will ask somebody over and over again, excuse me, how do you pronounce your name? I want to make sure I get it right. And then I'll do it again. Because your name is is who you are, your representation, and you show somebody the utmost respect by calling them the proper name. To me, as far as I'm concerned, when you mess up somebody's name, it's the equivalent of calling them out of their name. And that is something I refuse to do. I refuse to disrespect people like that. So I sat there and I'm like, how in the world Like, what is wrong with people? And you sit there, and that's one of those things that was like, okay, maybe he forgot he was on TV. Nah, bro. Nope. Because when you sit back and you think about, this guy does TV more than probably 8 hours a day on TV. Maybe not that much, but you're aware, self-awareness. So to say that, I thought that was just absolutely rude and disrespectful. You know, shout out to Shohei Ohtani, WNBA star and, commentator for ESPN. She said on Twitter, as a proud Nigerian American whose name gets mispronounced daily, we have to do better. Shanae means God gives. Our names have beautiful meaning and should be celebrated. This was following up on her statement at the beginning of the tweet where she said, as someone who's seen Mr. Smith's daily grind, I have so much respect for my ESPN fam. But like she said, we have to do better. And it's just that simple. You go to the people. You ask them. And the point he was making was that, to my understanding, he was saying that you have these prolific NBA stars losing to a team from Nigeria who may have some NBA stars, but also aren't on the level of star power of your Kevin Durant's, of your Damian Lillard's, of your Bam Adebayos. And that's, I understand what you're saying as far as star power. But when you just said however the hell you pronounce his name, that was disrespectful. Like I said last week with Rachel Nichols. It was all good when she had her complaints. That's fine. But once you mentioned Maria Taylor's name, it was null and void. So Stephen A. Smith has disrespected people who aren't born in the United States twice in one day. And you get those same apologies. And it's ridiculous. So I hope people understand that we got to use this as an opportunity to do better, and we need to change our way of thinking. We need to change our way of thinking that somebody who is not born from here, who doesn't speak the language of this country, cannot have all the benefits. They will learn, and if they don't, so what? It's okay. Because English ain't the language that was originally on this soil. But that's a whole nother conversation. But we have to get better. We talk about equality and everybody getting a fair opportunity. And people come here because there's this thing called the American dream. Well, just because there's a language barrier doesn't mean the American dream should be prevented. And that'll do it, ladies and gentlemen. I just had to get that off my chest. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations, where I discuss trending topics. And I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm going to watch the Home Run Derby. But if y'all haven't done so, make sure y'all check out my interview with Omar Powell. Just did it last week. Great interview. Already been downloaded several times. Shout out to everybody who's done that so far. I've been getting a lot of feedback on it and some DMs from people I used to work with, people who used to work at ESPN, and and they basically told me, hey, they agreed. But it's also shouldn't be missed that Omar also highlights some of the cool things he's done, such as creating his own shoe website. As he doesn't like the term sneakerhead, but I call him a shoe expert. If I need to know something about shoes, he's one of the people I go to. But he's also, he highlight that and also talk about, just moving on and being in a better place spiritually and mentally. So make sure y'all check that out. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Brian H. Waters. Make sure you check out the Wrestling Realm also at Wrestling Realm help us out on Twitch. I'm trying to get the 50 followers on Twitch. Help me out. I'm at 49, matter of fact. Somebody just follow me. But help the Wrestling Realm out also on YouTube, youtube.com/The Wrestling Realm, that we are trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark. Till the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody.